part 2 of Conversations with Kelly, and I have Jennifer back again for part 2 of going through the motions. And where we left off at last time was we were talking about, were we in stage 3 of your mom's illness? Her mom had been dealing with, had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and we are now, Jennifer has taken us through stage 1, stage 2, because as you can tell, there is, as you know, there is many stages to Alzheimer's disease. It just doesn't hit you all at once. It's a stage. It actually goes through stages, and each stage gets worse and worse. So now we're on stage 3, and Jennifer had shared previously that she had taken her mom to a wedding in Virginia, and it got kind of bad there. So now we're in stage 3, and now we're embarking on the part where Jennifer is now learning that her mom no longer knows who she is. And you said on your way home, you said, "Mommy, so-and-so and so-and-so," and then she said,
"Why do you keep calling me mommy?"
Let's speak up a little bit.
Why do you keep calling me mommy? If I would just talk, she was good. She would answer. But if I would start the sentence with "mommy such and such," she would say, "Why do you keep calling me mommy?"
And that's something you called her for all your
Forever.
life?
Ever.
Okay, so you said that you were driving home and you're trying to process this, and you know that you can't actually deal with it right then and there because you're on the road, you're the only driver in 8-hour distance. So we're home.
And the only thing that mommy took from that, she would keep saying, "I wonder how the lady with the black dress, that black coat is doing. She was so nice to me."
And you are the lady in the black coat.
I'm the lady in the black coat.
So actually, okay, so now you don't have the black coat on.
No.
So actually, she can't even determine the lady that had the black coat on that was at the wedding in the car, or in the car home, going home, and now the lady that no longer has the coat on being the same person.
Right.
So not only she doesn't recognize you as her daughter, she doesn't even recognize you are the lady that she no longer knows as her daughter that had the black coat on that
Right.
she was around. So
And she doesn't realize that it's me. I'm the nice lady. So now I'm still mad. Like, why are you giving somebody else credit? I'm the nice lady. It was me.
So she's looking at you as the caregiver, not as daughter, as the caregiver.
Right.
But this strange lady, this nice lady that's taking care of her in this black coat.
Yeah. Because again, I'm the one that took her car keys. I'm the one that said she could no longer work. I'm the one that says she needs to take her medicine twice a day. I'm the one that's making her get up early in her eyes and sending her to an adult daycare center. So she's in and out, but she doesn't see that I'm taking her keys because she's lost in the city. All these things helped her. But she's thinking other people in whatever clothes they're wearing they're superwomen.
So she wouldn't even identify people, even though she's not recognizing you as her daughter. She couldn't put a name with a person. It's always the lady with the black coat, or
Right.
the lady that helped me
Right.
do this. So talk to me about, again, her. Now you're not in the car any longer, and it's actually starting to sink in. Your mom does not. How long did it take you to actually just really, really know? Okay, she said it in the car, but when did you finally know? She don't know who I am. She really does not know who I am.
I think it was that trip.
That trip?
That's when it started sinking in. She doesn't know me. She's not going to. She's not coming back. We're not going shopping anymore, and she know. We're not going doing mani-pedis. We're not going to church anymore. And if we go to church, it's not going to be the same. That's when it hit me. That this is for real. So that's when I, still going through the motions, instead of dealing with it, okay, let me get um, guardianship or power of attorney. I did research to figure out which one was the best one.
And so when you, let me stop you, when you say you're going through the motions, even though you were actively taking care of things, when you say going through the motions, meaning that you were not dealing with your feelings.
I didn't deal with my feelings at all. I felt like I didn't have time to deal with my feelings. I felt like I couldn't because my mother needed me and stuff needed to be done.
Okay.
And I'm the only one to do it. I have to do it.
So can we say this? Because what I'm thinking here is, you know how your mom is basically just existing? Are you somewhat just existing as well?
That would be a fair statement.
Because you never got to feel too much. I mean, you had little outbursts that you would feel anger, you know, with God and things like that, but you would, it seemed like you would quickly get it together because there was something else that you needed to do.
Do something. Right.
Okay. So you going to get power of attorney. Now it's another state. Now you got to get power of attorney. You got to.
I mean, that's legal. It's binding. The guardianship will give you legal charge over your loved one, and it's not in a negative sense. It actually protects your loved one even more because now, if she needed medical care, because at that stage, in that middle stage, she's more combative. So we spent a lot of trips to the emergency room to help her. But it's at that stage where you need that because now I can say, not only am I her daughter, but legally, you have to do what I say as far as her care. And that really protects your loved one. You really need it. You need it financially so they don't lose what they have. One thing we did, I had bought a house, but the house was in my name. But anything that she had, you have to take it out of her name. You have to take it out of your loved one's name.
To protect her.
To protect whatever they have. She didn't have anything. The only thing she had was her checking account. And I put my name on the checking account to help her with her things that she had. By that time, she had stopped being able to understand how to write her name. So I needed to be able to sign
off
on things.
Okay. That had to be tough as well.
That was tough. The day that I forgot her title, but she's through the court system. She had to come to our house to do an observation to see if it was really necessary to have it.
And that makes sense. You mean to make sure you had the right to have power of attorney, that this woman needed to have someone over. Did she find the findings really quick, or she study her?
Very quick. She wasn't in our house 10 minutes. She had to write it up, and when she left me her report to read the words mentally unstable, it was like another knife in me. Like, my mother is mentally unstable. Like, so now we have labels with the illness. It's no longer Alzheimer's. It's hurtful labels. And the day that we went to, I had to go to court to stand in front of the judge. My aunt came over to stay with my mother. And that morning, the night before, and that morning, Mommy was extremely combative. The day that I went to court, I had a part of the skin on my nose was taken off from where she had just scratched me. She did not know who I was. I was trying to give her a bath, and she got scared.
Did you ever yell at her? Like, you would yell at a little kid when they would get like that? And you can choose not to answer.
I did.
Because I'm just thinking, I'm thinking in my mind, because a lot of times we like to paint this pretty picture, like, oh, I would not do this, and I would not do that. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, if I'm dealing with someone that is my mom or whoever, and I'm starting to see this new person, so to speak, and this person is acting out on me and they're hurting me and harming me, I think I would yell, "Stop it!" Like you would a kid.
I would yell and stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was trying to get her ready for the daycare in the morning.
When you would yell at her, "Stop it," and then after some time would pass by, would you feel guilty because she's your mother?
I would feel guilty. Oh my goodness, the guilt. The guilt. I think at that time, when you say stop it, you don't realize it because you're so angry. But within that day, I just yelled at my mother.
So power of attorney goes out the window, the illness goes out the window, and then reality says, this is still my mother. But the frustrations of dealing with this type of illness causes one to, it's like, and that might be some of the reasons why you were suppressing things. Some of that stuff still came out. Even though you were trying to go through the motions, it seemed like you would have outbursts, just like she would. And then you would feel the guilt. I just yelled at her.
I would, so to not feel guilty that I yelled at her, I would go to my room sometimes, and I remember one time picking up the remote to my television and just yelling at myself and just yelling and I just threw that remote, and I threw it down with such a force, it like broke. And it was like, it snapped me into reality when it broke. Like, okay, you gotta get it together, because your mother is still on the other side of the door, and you still have work to do.
I like how you said you went to your room, because there's all kinds of things you could have done. You could have got on some antidepressants. You could have went and got on. You could have started drinking. You could have started using drugs just to cope. And sometimes these things are good coping mechanisms at the time. I'm not saying they're good for continual. Whatever it needs to get, whatever you need to do to remove yourself out of that hostile situation. If it means go to your room and throw the remote down, I would rather for you to throw the remote down than to throw your parents down, or to throw a kid down, or whatever you're dealing with, to throw that person down. Where was God in this with you? I mean, where was your relationship with God in this situation? Or did that just kind of go out the window with all the...
I didn't feel that I had a relationship with God, and I couldn't tell anybody.
Because?
That would have been so embarrassing. I was born and raised in the church. My parents had me at church with them every time the doors were open. I held church positions. I held local convention positions. I held state of Ohio positions. I would get in front of hundreds of people and would talk to them about trusting God and never giving up and all that God can do. And here I am, not even wanting to talk to God. I can't tell nobody that. I can't tell nobody that.
Because we have this thing where we have to sugarcoat. And in the Bible, I've heard where people have said you shouldn't show your emotions as a Christian, because, especially to other unbelievers. What? I think that's just the most craziest thing I've ever heard. Because the Bible that I read, I read that Jesus wept. I saw where Jesus got angry and flipped over tables in the temple. There are emotions. You're going to have these feelings. And I think it's real to display those. At the time when you were going through this, you was not trusting God. But on the other side of this, do you trust God?
Totally.
Totally. There's times, everybody, I just want to say this, there's times where you're going to have those midnights where it's going to feel like God is not present. And you're going to feel like you are all alone in this.
Well, because, Kelly, I would pray. When you said in the midnight hour, I remember one time we didn't sleep for 3 weeks straight because of mommy's illness. She was confused and all that. And I remember in the middle of the night praying and asking God, please let her go to sleep. I'm tired. I have to go to work tomorrow. and just asking God to calm her down. And I just wanted to go to sleep. I just wanted mommy to calm down. And just asking God, please, please, please let her calm down. Please let her go to sleep. And he wouldn't. I felt that he wouldn't let her go to sleep. So I would just stop. I'm like, you know what? I'm not praying anymore.
Do you feel like you were being punished?
I don't know if I want to say punished, but I felt like it was something. I felt it was like about me. Not realizing until later that it's about mommy too. She's losing her life. She's losing what was dear to her.
Did you feel like the situation was unfair?
It was unfair.
Do you feel like bitterness had set in?
It had.
Resentment, all these feelings are just
All of
flooding.
it. All of it.
Looking back to it today, what do you feel like God was maybe showing you, teaching you? What do you feel like you learned from that situation, or you got from that situation? Through the combativeness, through the stages, through the diagnosis, through losing your dad 3 months prior to your mom getting diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Can you look back and say, you know what, this experience taught me this? Or did it bring you closer to God? Did it cause you to build a relationship, a authentic relationship with God? Because there's times where, Jennifer, I feel like we know of God because he has been our mother's God. He has been our father's God. He has been our aunt's God. He has been our friend's God. But until we come to the place to where we build that relationship for ourselves, and sometimes do we have to go through something to know that, and to allow God to be God in our lives without the crutches, without the props and the support of other people, like our parents, or our mothers or fathers, or that husband, or whoever that is our support system. Sometimes do you think that maybe God comes in and he strips those things from us so we can finally come to an understanding that I am God in your life. I am the support. Because even though now that your parents are gone, both of them are gone, I'm sure at one time you thought they were your world. They're gone, and you're still existing. You are still here. And God is still God. He is still God. And a lot of times we like to think that, everything is always going to be a bed of roses. And just like you lost your parents, both of them, you lost your father first, and you lost your mom twice. You lost her twice. But he gave his son for us on Calvary. He lost his son. And I wonder what he was thinking when Jesus went to the cross to bear our sins, to redeem us back to the Father. And a lot of times we want to say, why? Why is this happening to us? Because I know for a long time, Jennifer, I have not experienced, an illness with a parent. I did lose my father to death, but I remember when I was going through a relationship that I thought I wanted so bad, and I just could not understand why I had to lose them. Why did he take them? Why did he strip me from them? I thought for a time that God didn't like me. I don't know the reason why your mom ended up with Alzheimer's. I don't know the reason why you lost your parents. Your dad 3 months, and then finding out your mom was diagnosed 3 months later, and then your mom finally passing 10 years later. I don't know why. And we may never know the answer of why, but he's still God.
Still God.
And the evidence of him being God we see today, even as we're speaking. You're still here with your right mind. You're not crazy. You're not on drugs. You're not sitting somewhere. You don't have Alzheimer's right now. You don't have anything going on with you now. You're healthy. You just wrote a book, a children's book. You just came out with a children's book.
I did.
And you probably thought the loss would cause you to just
Curl
lose
up.
your very being. But because you get up every day, lets us know that you still have a pulse. You're still alive.
And even though I was so disrespectful to God, I was so disrespectful. I stopped talking to God. I stopped praying. I stopped asking for strength. I stopped reading the Bible. Um, I only went to church if it was something my Sunday to be one of the youth supervisors. Even through all of that, God still took care of me.
And I praise him for that.
He still loved me.
And you know, Jennifer, and this is something else I'm thinking about, is we have to watch, we have to really, really observe our relationship, what we call a relationship with God. Because oftentimes we like to have this type of relationship, because I know that we have it with each other at times. I love you and I want this relationship on conditions. God has to do my life A, B, C, and D just like that. And if he alters anything, I'm through with him.
But see, Kelly, this was different.
Mm-hmm.
This was Alzheimer's. This wasn't, I'm short money on bills.
Conditions.
This was different. He took Daddy just like that.
Mm-hmm. Were you good with that?
No.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to hold it together.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the chance to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Nothing. I was 25.
And you know what, Jennifer? I get you. And I mean, one day maybe we can ask him. I don't know. By the time we get to heaven, it don't even matter anymore. But I know. I mean, just to be real, you want to ask God those questions. And I'm thinking about the book of Job, and I don't, I can't quote Job, fully like it goes verbatim. But I do recall him. A lot of people won't even ask God a question. Oh, you don't question God. I've asked him many questions, and sometimes he's answering, and sometimes he don't. But he'll answer you just where you are. There's times where I've asked God questions, and there's times where He has answered me. And that thing about don't question God and all, I've asked Him. So if I don't understand something, I'm going to ask Him. And maybe one day I don't know if He has answered you about maybe why this had happened or whatever, but He may answer you, He may not. But that still doesn't take away from who He is. And we still have to look back at what He sacrificed the Son. Jesus was sin-free, didn't do anything to deserve any of what He went through. But we have the nerve to say, "Oh, look what you did to me." But if we keep our eyes on that, what Christ did on Calvary, can we put all of this stuff, all our hurts and all the things that were stripped from us, can we now put it in perspective? Because there's somebody where at birth their mother passed and they never knew. See, when we take our focus on just our stuff and we look back at the next man, then it's kind of like, wow, you had your mom for 35 years, right?
I did.
There's somebody that only had theirs for 5. And I don't want to take away from the pain that it caused you or the pain that it may have caused me when I was going through my situations. But when we look back and we think about other people and the condition that they're in. Because through it all summer's on, you were blessed because some people can't travel with their parent and take them to a wedding. Yeah, she got crazy in the hotel, but eventually it fizzled out and you were able to stay. Somebody's mom and them got kicked out. And although you felt like your local family didn't really rally around and support you like you thought that they should, you had other extended family that did.
I had my local family, some of them would.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them came to me towards the end
Mm-hmm.
and would say the reason why they didn't
Mm-hmm.
rally around was because they were scared.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was hard to watch
That.
that, to watch it.
And I'm sure it was.
And
And
I'm
a lot
sure.
of times we don't. And again, to the family's defense, because a lot of times we just, again, they had given you some advice you didn't take. So then my thought would be, well, how dare you ask me to help you do this when I clearly told you how to go about this? But on the flip side of that, a lot of times we don't know what's going on with the other parties. But a lot of times the caregiver going through that and they're right there seeing that, it causes you to kind of shift blame on other people. Well, if such and such would do this, then this would happen. Or maybe if they help me a little bit more, this could happen. There's so many ways a person can help with an aging parent, or dealing with an illness or something with a family member or family friend. Sometimes a person can be just a financial support.
I think it.
Sometimes people can be a person that can prepare the meals. There's all kinds of ways that a person can lend support rather than constantly being there 24 hours. And a lot of times, some people just cannot handle it.
And now,
Mm-hmm.
years later, I understand that, because now there are things that I can't do, there are places I can't go because emotionally I'm just not there.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
But does that make it wrong? In somebody else's eyes, it
in
may.
somebody else's eyes, it would make it wrong. But now reflecting, I can understand where my family was coming from. Like we said, she should go to a nursing home.
And I
I
think
can't
the word
help you.
nursing home just makes people feel like that's just the worst thing to do.
Right.
I worked in them, and I have to say the ones that I did work in, people worked. But sometimes I wonder, do they get a bad rap because they want the nursing home to be perfect? And I wonder sometimes, do some of the guilt, because they had to put the member in the nursing home, some of the guilt of you not being able to, not you, but a person not being able to keep the parent at home, sometimes the frustration of that or the guilt of that gets transferred onto that nursing home or those workers because you're not perfect.
Well,
But were you perfect at home?
I was not perfect at home. I tried to be. I wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Mommy had to go to a nursing home the last 2 years of her life.
Okay. So you ended up having to do
I
it
having to.
because
I couldn't do it. I had taken leave of absence. I had used all of my time. But it had gotten to the point where she was combative, like, all the time. We wasn't sleeping. I took up. I didn't drink or smoke, like, I didn't do that, but I ended up being an emotional eater.
okay.
So
So you took on another addiction.
I took on another
Okay.
addiction. I had gained 60 pounds in like 3 months.
You would just eat.
Just eat.
Sometimes I eat just because I think I get a little nervous and I just have to constantly either hear myself chewing or something. But you saying you just kind of ate to kind of
ate
suppress it?
because I didn't want to deal with my emotions. I was still helping mommy, but I wasn't helping me.
Mm-hmm.
And now reflecting, I couldn't really help mommy because I wasn't helping me.
Now, did you start eating when you put her in the nursing home or during the whole process?
Maybe the last couple of months before I put her in a nursing home. When I did the family leave, I went through the extreme. I had stopped eating, had lost a bunch of weight, and then put it on.
Okay, I got you. So you went from losing a lot of weight to gaining a lot of weight.
Right.
Okay, so she's in a nursing home now. So how did that work out for you?
It was the hardest thing ever. The day that I took her, it was the hardest thing. But it ended up being a blessing, because not even a week after I put her there, the nursing home called one morning to say she had had a seizure. Never had a seizure in her life. She had a grand mal seizure, and that they had rushed her to the hospital. And had she been home, even though I'm in child care, I've had all the health certifications, would I have been in the room with her when she had the seizure? And if I were, how would I have reacted? Would I have been able to help her? So my frantic drive to the hospital. Now, mind you, I hadn't talked to God in like months. My prayer that day was, thank you, God. I don't know if I would have been able to help her.
She was in a place that was.
And it was during breakfast time, and they were right there, and they responded. And the nursing home, she went to Columbus Alzheimer's Care Center. Excellent facility. They only take residents that have dementia or dementia-related illnesses.
So they specialize in this type of care.
They do. It's a skilled facility.
Is it hard to get in, or?
It actually was difficult, but that was another thing. Everything kind of just fell in place, and it was the caseworker through Senior Options had given me a couple of facilities. I'd gone and looked at them, looked up there. You, as a caregiver, or even as a person in a household, you have a right to look up their state licensing report. You can go online. You can go to the facility and pull their book and look at their last couple of licensing reports to see how are they faring when the state comes.
Let me ask you this question, Jennifer, and this is for our viewers. Would you, I know you said if you had it to do all over again, you would do it the same way. Would you, I have to ask you this question. When you said that, you mean like take care of your mom. Would you have put her in a nursing home sooner? Do you think you could have serviced her better from a nursing home, still going to see her and making sure everything was intact?
I still don't think I would have put her in there until the last minute. There were opportunities in the community that were available.
So basically, you would tell, if you was to leave somebody with some advice, you would be like, try to keep them home as long as you possibly can, and then when you can't, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid to put them in the nursing home when you can't do it anymore. But I would, from the day they're diagnosed, I would start researching not only the illness, but I would start researching community resources. There's adult daycare centers. There are.
Can you pull those records too to find out?
Yes.
Okay.
You can pull those up online. You can go to the center itself. You can pull them up online. You can check to see how many grievances have those residents that come just daily in and out have filed. You can check any of that.
Good.
You can check, and that was something that I did, but I didn't do because I didn't know to do at the beginning. I just went stage to stage. But as a caregiver, that's something that you should start researching in advance. You should start having talks with your loved one about end-of-life decisions, if they want to be resuscitated or not.
Right. And those are kind of the talks that people kind of like to shun, but it's very important because I know sometimes when you bring it up, what you want me to die? It's not that. We need to know. You need to know, how do you want to be buried? Where do you want to be buried at? Because a lot of times it saves the family from all them fights after the fact. Well, mommy didn't want to wear, she wanted to wear a blue dress, and you put her on a white dress. So it's good. So you're telling us, and we're sharing today, that talk with your loved ones before illness sets in, or if illness has set in where they can still make decisions, ask those questions.
Do all of that.
How important is it, Jennifer, when you had put your mom in a nursing home, or when you were using the daycare facilities early on in the stages of her Alzheimer's, how important is it to have a relationship with the caregivers at the facilities?
You mean the caregivers that they bring their family members there?
No.
Oh, the caregivers that work
at
there?
At the facilities.
It was very important. And so even though mommy rode the bus to and from there, there were times where I would pop in and see how she was doing. I was very pleased she went to Heritage Day Health on Livingston, and I was really pleased with what I found in the records
Good.
online, and I was pleased every time I would go visit. But just because I was pleased, I was still
Still go.
going. I was still going, and it helped my relationship too because I'm with them because they could say, you know what, we've noticed Core. Um, they didn't know that she really loves music, so they made sure that she was a part of those activities, and that's why I say keep them home as long as you can because those type of activities helps sustain their life. Yes, they're losing their memory, but she never forgot that she loved music. Never. She may have forgot the words, but she was still patting her fingers. She still danced.
So you don't just sit them in a corner.
No.
You know, because a lot of times, you know, when they stop, because I thought that I read like the last stages, the final stages, is this like they just sit and they just like not zombies, but they just exist. They quit talking and all those types of things. But you said still play the music.
Still, I at Columbus Alzheimer's, they would friendly tease me because I went to see her every day, but on Saturday and Sundays, that's when I bought a foot soaker. I would bring it. Okay, she can't go get a mani pedi. I would bring it to her. I bought a portable record player. And on Saturday mornings, here I come with my suitcase with records, nail polish, food.
Did that get them excited about her?
It did. And then as I'm playing music, other residents would come into her room.
Oh gosh.
And sit down. And you know, sometimes the employees there would say, "No, no, no, that's Jennifer and Core's time." I'm like, let them come on in. And Mommy would have like a bed, a row of people lined up.
Oh, I'm just moved right now, Jennifer. That now, see,
there.
thinking about that should make your heart just smile.
Because it was like those were residents that sometimes their family members couldn't come. There were some residents that I didn't see their family members at all.
Let me go here. Could it be that everything that you endured with this illness and with your mom, that it really wasn't about you or her, but it was about those other residents that was affected by the love that you showed your mom, and the activities that you still tried to engage your mom in, even though you said that she was not even really engaged like that. But it brought other residents where you said their families were not engaged in their lives. Could it be that all of that took place just so your love and your mother's love could be extended in that room with all those residents sitting around that bed?
It wasn't even about me. It wasn't about me.
And I'm just going to go here. Thinking about those other people. Can we finally let it go and say, not my will, Lord, but thy will be done?
To see the
look how many people your mom's life touched through that illness. Not only the residents, but because you were willing to embrace other people that you were not responsible for. What did that say to those workers? That was a testimony in itself. You said to those other workers through your actions, it ain't just about my mom. Let them come on in.
I had somebody tell me that she said, you know, you think it's about you, but it's not. She was struggling with her relationship with her mother. Her mother didn't have Alzheimer's, but her mother was getting older. And so that meant that she was going to have to start thinking about moving her mother in with her and starting to make sacrifices. And she said, I'm watching you and you make it look so easy. But she had no idea how it was tearing me up inside. But she said, it's not about you.
So when we get to that point that it's not about us, I think then we can look back at the situation and say,
thank you, God.
That's all you can say. Well, Jennifer, I did have a different devotional, but I think that we touched on some things, and I don't think think that this devotion would even do a service to this particular conversation. I'll save it for another time. But because when we started talking about those other residents, that's when I knew then. Because when we were doing the conversation, when we were talking previously about doing this topic, I was trying to understand, Lord, which way do you want me to go with a devotional? And just when you said that is when I knew it's not about us. What you went through was not about you. What your mom went through was not about her. It was about those other residents that was embraced in that nursing home where you invited them in when other people wanted to shun them away. Well, that concludes our conversation. And Jennifer, such bravery. Thank you for sharing, and I'm sure that your testimony will touch lives across the nation, because you may not be dealing with a parent with Alzheimer's. You may be dealing with a parent that for some reason had a stroke and maybe cannot walk, or whatever the case or the illness may be, or you may be even dealing with a parent or a loved one that has mental issues or things like that. But just from Jennifer sharing her story, and you may be wondering where God is in the situation, He's there. He knows exactly what's going on. But we have to remember this walk, this Christian walk, although sometimes, because a lot of times people want to say, oh, it's always, peaches and cream. There was just like there is the resurrection, there is a cross we must bear. And a lot of times these situations is not about us. And there's going to be times in our lives where we're going to be enduring things, and we're going to wonder, like you wonder, where is He at in this? And because we don't feel Him, like we feel like we don't feel Him, that He's tangible, like He's there. And then we might even do, as some do, and as you did, is we just forget it. I don't want to pray. I don't want to talk to Him because He's not, I don't feel like He's there for, He doesn't see what's going on here. But at the end of the day, He's been there all along, because He's teaching us things as we move in our journeys, as we walk through our journeys. So again, we need to get to a place to where we no longer are going through the motions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have the tears flowing and to feel hurt and things like that, because that was your mom. It's okay. And sometimes we need to take a short time out. If we can't take a long period, you have to take a short time out and just feel. But thank you for joining us. You were so brave, and you did so well, because I was wondering if you were going to be able to do this. And I just want to share with everybody that Jennifer, I had asked Jennifer about doing this, and she was very unsure about doing this. And then she texted me the other day and said, what was it? Did you say? No,
I think I said that I'll never be ready, but that it may help somebody.
Yep. That was so profound. I will never be ready, but I must do this because I know it's going to help somebody. Thank you for joining me and Jennifer for a conversation, and I hope that you learned something and was able to take something from this as well as I was. And I'm just praising God. I'm thanking God for the nursing home experience, and I thank God for you and your story and your experience with your parents. And I pray that this was helpful for you, getting this out, and I hope healing has taken place and probably is continuing to take place. And I pray that maybe you can actually go around and share your story with other people and bring healing as well to other people, and where people are ever being able to put that situation in a different perspective. Thank you for joining us, and we will talk at you later.